Hi, welcome to the Glowing Skin series. I'm Christine Ho, and today I have Dr. Patrizia Collard. She is a registered cognitive behavioral psychotherapist and the best-selling author of The Little Book of Mindfulness. So hello, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yes, of
Glad
course.
to be here. Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, of course. We're so happy to have you here. So please, tell us your personal story.
So initially, I was trained in the arts. I was singing and acting and also writing. And when I became around 28 to 30, I decided I wanted to do something that was more connected to helping people. Although, of course, the arts help people as well. They make us laugh, they make us cry, they make us, relax. But through various circumstances, I decided I wanted to actually become a psychotherapist. And so I trained in 3 different approaches. One is called integrative psychotherapy. The other one was drug and alcohol psychotherapy. And the third one was cognitive behavioral psychotherapy. And I then completed my training and had just started a job at a university and also a private practice when my partner told me that we were going to go and live in China. So for 1 year we lived in Hong Kong, and for 8 years we lived in Beijing, mainland China. And it was a fantastic practicing ground because I met some Chinese nationals. My Chinese is okay, but not really good enough for deep psychotherapy. But it was still helpful to have a few words here and there. But I also met quite a few of the 140,000 people who were living and working there who weren't Chinese, so the expat community, many of whom were suffering from the loss of their family and friends, overwork, having to prove themselves, self-medicating by using alcohol, for example. And my youngest client was 6 and my oldest client was about 67. So I had a very good learning ground there, helping people in different phases of their lives. And mindfulness was really something that I started practicing later on, not that much later on, but about 3-4 years after I finished training as a psychotherapist, because my second son had some developmental difficulties. They would be categorized under the autism spectrum disorder. And I was rather frightened because his language wasn't developing and there weren't that many specialists available in China that could actually teach him in English what he needed to learn. So I was very lucky, though. I found a wonderful American speech therapist and behavior therapist who taught me how to work with him. And then I also met a lovely Australian and then an Indian yoga and mindfulness teacher. And for my own personal mental health and balance, I started yoga, Tai Chi, and meditation so that I could be the best mother to my son that I could be. Lo and behold, I became really, really interested in these fields and saw how much it helped me and kept me balanced. And in the year 2000, I returned to Europe, London in the UK, and I found out that mindfulness and meditation had actually entered, while I was in China, had entered medicine and psychotherapy as a viable treatment tool. So I was excited because I thought, I know what they're talking about. I've been doing it for many years. However, I didn't know that I could use it as part of my profession. So then I did another qualification as a mindfulness-based cognitive therapist and as a mindfulness-based stress reduction therapist. And I integrated those tools into my regular psychotherapy practice. So now people come to me and very often want a combination of, integrative psychotherapy and mindfulness.
So tell us, how does mindfulness and therapy relate to skincare?
So basically, the first thing we have to remember is that we often worry about things that happen inside our body, but we often forget about that the largest organ of the body is the skin. So the skin is where we first see signs of aging, signs of illness, signs of stress. So why is that so? Because basically when we get into a situation of discomfort, fear, tiredness, pressure, then our body starts producing stress chemicals. And these stress chemicals focus mainly on the areas of the body that could theoretically be wounded if we were, attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. I mean, we have only been around for 2 million years, and that is not a very long time for your, genetics to change. So we are still very much, behaving subconsciously, at least, like Stone Age man. And Stone Age man, when there was a wild animal around, would make, either off and run as fast as he could, or use tools to defend himself with. So during that time, the body would focus on the area of the face, the throat, and the surface areas of the limbs, because we needed to run faster or hit harder, and we needed to protect those areas that were most visible, because otherwise human beings, they probably were a little bit hairier, but they still were already wearing clothes. Now, nowadays, we don't have saber-toothed tigers anymore. Sometimes tigers escape from zoos, but even that is very rare. So we don't need to be frightened so much of, wild animals. Of course, there are other dangers. Sometimes, car drivers that can't be trusted, or people who try to steal your wallet. But in general, we live in a much safer environment now, if we're not in a war zone, that is. And so, our stress response is now very often triggered by much less dangerous things, by things like, I haven't completed an assignment, or I don't think I've been good enough in my interview, or I've once again been told off by my boss or by my partner. So things like that, little triggers like that, can actually cause the stress response. And the stress response, again, will focus on those areas I mentioned before, but will actually neglect, for example, the general way how the body prevents infection and other disease. So the immune function of the body is highly reduced. Only the areas of the face, the throat, and the surface of our limbs are actually protected. So that means all sorts of infections can get into the skin because the body's immune system isn't working properly. The second thing is, when we are stressed, we very often forget to do one thing that's extremely important for healthy skin, which is drink enough water, drink enough liquid. It's no good drinking lots of coffee or tea, because these beverages are actually dehydrating. The skin needs hydration, and not just from products that we put on it from outside. We need to hydrate the skin from inside. And you've probably noticed when you're nervous, anxious, or you've just had a fight, that you feel dryness in your throat, dryness in your mouth. So when we're stressed, again, we use up the liquid that we have taken on board, as it were, and we need more liquid. And many people don't do that. So that is one amazingly important factor in improving your skin. And the other thing is, in general, the skin can also be, as I said, much more affected by, germs, by other, for example, pollution and the environment. And again, the skin will be more susceptible to suffering from consequences due to pollution and the environment when we are stressed. Last but not least, what we have only found out during the last 4 or 5 years is that the telomeres, which are the ends of our chromosomes, which actually have a lot to do with aging, they tend to get shorter the older we get. So the shorter our telomeres, the more the skin starts to show wrinkles, sagging, etc. When we meditate, when we practice mindfulness, whether it is an official meditation or we're just mindfully picking up a drink, feeling the glass, really smelling the beautiful, I'm having cloudy apple juice here, juice, taking a sip, really tasting it, really being grateful for it. When we practice mindfulness in that way or in a meditative way, it actually helps the telomeres to grow again. So basically, mindfulness helps you to stay younger and get younger the more you use it. So I hope that answered some of your questions.
Oh, yes, of course. That sounds amazing, and something that I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more about and get into as well.
Yes.
Yes. So what would you say are some signs and symptoms that would be a need for therapy?
Well, are you now talking of the skin, or are you talking also of mental and emotional states? Do you want me to look at all of this?
So why not say both, just in case? Because I'm sure everybody wants to know.
Because they're often connected anyway. So basically, one typical, as I said, one typical sign of long-term stress is a sense of feeling tired, feeling exhausted, feeling disinterested, feeling low in mood, reducing your relationships by not getting in touch with people, not inviting them, not even using social media, because even that is too much. Another thing can be the occurrence of headaches and other pains and aches like neck, shoulder aches, stomach aches, digestive disorders. All of these have to do with the higher the level of stress, and that can be measured through a simple spit test. We can actually see how much cortisol, which is one of the stress chemicals your body produces. And the more cortisol there is in the body, the more the body is feeling stressed. Some people experience things like loss of hair. They experience dryness in the skin, not just in the face, but over the whole body. It can go as far as actually developing an autoimmune disease and developing some autoimmune diseases that you're aware of are, for example, multiple sclerosis, the various digestive disorders like Crohn's disease, lupus, which can affect any of your organs. So it is quite, I mean, I could go on for hours telling you the different things that can affect you. But the short-term things that people notice most quickly is headaches and other aches and pains, sleep deficiency, unable to switch off and sleep, being in general of a more nervous disposition than they usually are. So you always have to go from your norm. Some people are just more lively and others are more calm. But from your level of normality, when you see a differentiation, a change, that is usually a sign that your body needs to get back into its equilibrium, back into balance. And that is what mindfulness practice can help you with.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So what about some types of symptoms that people would see on their skin that they can be aware of?
So the less serious ones would be that you might, if you have a greasy skin, that you might get more pimples, more blocked pores, that the skin has less radiance. For the dry skin, that you might develop more wrinkles and more of a skin that looks a bit bland, excuse me, that looks a little bit bland and that doesn't have a shine to it. So, you know, you can sometimes see people in their 70s and 80s and they have wrinkles, but they still radiate. Whereas you can see people in their 20s and 30s and they have not so many wrinkles, but the skin looks dull. So other things can be cold sores can develop, or stings under the eyelid. These are minor infections that can be caused by the immune system being overworked. Other skin diseases, I mean, actually the original research how mindfulness came from Buddhism into medicine was actually done on psoriasis, which is a significant, awful skin disease where your skin gets raw, breaks open, sometimes bleeds, you have blisters, and it's very painful, and you need regular treatment. And they found that in various studies that are published online, if you're interested, you just put MBSR and mindfulness and psoriasis, and then you will see that when people are treated for psoriasis, which is often all over the body, so you have to imagine having raw skin all over the body, so they are put into metal incubators, as it were. They have to stand upright. They have just something that covers their face so that the infrared light can't harm them. And then for about 25 to 35 minutes, they have to stand there, and the infrared light goes around the body trying to reduce their symptoms. And normally they used to play classical or sort of new age music in the background for people. And in these particular studies, they halved the people, and half of the people got the music in the background, and the other half was actually receiving a meditation that was spoken to them while they were receiving the treatment. And in several studies, one after the other, they showed that the people who received the meditation, who listened to the meditation, which was a body scan, they recovered more quickly and they stayed symptom-free for longer. So we're not talking about complete recovery because it's a very serious illness. Of course, some people did, but that was the minority. But if already you can say instead of 6 weeks, you only need 3 weeks of treatment, and instead of 3 months being symptom-free, you're 6 months symptom-free. This is just one example. Yeah, that makes a significant difference to your life. Less pain and being free of it for longer.
Yes, that sounds really amazing and inspiring. So, because mindfulness is such a powerful, amazing tool that I'm sure so many of, the audience would want to know and learn more about, can you help us with understanding so many different tips that we can use to practice mindfulness for ourselves?
So first of all, we probably need to know what mindfulness actually is. And I think everybody does know it because we were all children once. And when we were children, we weren't worried about time. We weren't worried about when the next meal would be or where it would come from. And we weren't worried if we built a sand castle on the beach, whether it would still be there the next day. We were living in the moment. And that is what mindfulness is all about. It is being in the present moment deliberately on purpose and without judgment. So truly experiencing the moment. And even if you're building this sand castle and suddenly it starts raining or the waves wash it away, you don't judge it. That's how it is. You know you can do another one the next day. So being in the present moment on purpose and without judgment, that is the basic definition. But that is so difficult for adults. Children can do it, but the older we get, we learn how clocks and watches, work. We are told we need to eat at certain times and sleep at certain times, although we know through research that there are larks, which are people who are very, the ones that raise early and wake up early, and then there are owls that are people who prefer working late and sleeping late. But our society doesn't make any differentiation. It just gives us rules and to which we have to stick and which we have to live by, whether we are in agreement or not. So mindfulness is giving yourself a bit of time every day where you can do a formal meditative practice, and I will teach you one if you wish, and also informally what I showed you beforehand with the glass, drinking something and really being aware of it, eating and really tasting each mouthful, brushing your teeth or having a shower and really being present rather than having the shower and already making your to-do list in your mind, what you have to do after the shower. No, enjoying the hot water, the bubbles of the soap, the smell, the feeling that your body experiences. Mindfulness means being truly present, because it is this moment only when you're alive, when you can laugh, when you can cry, when you can experience joy, when you can experience love. It's the now, the here and now is the only moment for life to be actually happening. And that's the skill that we have to relearn, because we had it as a baby, as a small child, and then through education and rules and regulations, we lost it and we became more and more human doings rather than human beings. So practicing mindfulness is all about learning to be again, to experience life,
Oh,
to
yes,
live
that sounds.
life.
Oh, yes, that does sound very amazing work that you're doing. And it is something that I'm sure a lot of adults are having a really hard time with
Yeah.
thinking about themselves, of course. And you mentioned earlier about helping us to learn in the formal way about mindfulness. So,
Yes,
would you be willing to share that as well?
I'd be delighted. So maybe if we do a short practice together, because I don't want to overwhelm you, because it is just like learning a new language or a new instrument, or learning to cook or learning to run a marathon. You start small and then you slowly expand. And the good news is there are many things online. You can also look on my website. You can look on other people's websites on YouTube. There are many books written and many apps available with meditations. So there is lots of material available. You just have to find, as it is, the voice and the type of teacher that connects with your heart. And we are all different. So thank God there are different things on offer. So hopefully you will find something that you like. But for now, I will guide you about 10 minutes in a practice called the body scan. So for this practice, I would like you to sit in an upright but comfortable position.
Okay.
Feeling your feet firmly on the ground, resting your hands either on your thighs or in your lap, and if you feel comfortable, gently closing your eyes. Now, first of all, just bringing awareness to the points of contact between yourself, the chair, and the floor. Feeling your feet firmly connected to the ground. Feeling your sitting bones and thighs on the chair. Feeling your hands resting in your lap. Soft shoulders, soft face. Now bringing your awareness to your feet. Starting with the big toes of the left and right foot, and then the little toes, and the toes in between. Feeling them, sensing them, or even just knowing that your toes are there. And if your mind wanders off into thinking or planning, gently and kindly escorting it back to the body scan guidance without feeling guilty at all. And if you have to guide your mind back many times, so be it. That's nothing that you need to feel ashamed about or worried about. It's quite normal that the human mind wanders off. So now continuing from the toes to the rest of the feet, the soles of your feet, the heels of your feet, the upper parts of your feet, left and right ankle, left and right calf, left and right shin. Bringing awareness now to your knees, left, right. Bringing awareness to your thighs, left, right. Bringing awareness now to your hips, left, right. Now bringing awareness to your belly and belly button. Bringing awareness to your chest, rib cage, collarbones. Moving now to the awareness of your shoulders, soft shoulders, left, right. Now bringing awareness to your upper back, the middle back, and the lower back. And now focusing on the awareness of your spine, starting at the bottom, at the coccyx, And slowly moving your awareness up, vertebrae by vertebrae, up, up, vertebrae by vertebrae, up, until you reach your neck. Now moving back to the awareness of your shoulders and then down your upper arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists, hands, and fingers. And now bringing your awareness to your head and neck area, starting with your neck and throat, neck and throat, cheeks and chin, cheeks and chin, mouth, teeth, tongue, gum, lips, nose and nostrils, ears and earlobes, eyes, sockets of your eyes, eyeballs, eyelids, eyelashes, eyebrows. Bringing awareness now to your forehead, the back of the head, and the crown of your head. Getting now again a whole sense of the body, of you, of yourself sitting here, being deeply connected to the ground with your feet, to the chair with your sitting bones and thighs, and with your back leaning against the chair. Feeling once again how your hands are resting in your lap. And now just staying for a minute or so in silence, just breathing, not deepening your breath, not lengthening it, just breathing, just being alive, moment by moment. Now slowly beginning to wriggle your toes and your fingers, rolling your shoulders a little bit, maybe your neck, looking with your face, with your nose towards the right shoulder and towards the left shoulder, up and down, and in your own time, when you feel ready, opening your eyes.
Wow, that definitely felt like a meditation session.
Good.
Yes. So can you also help us to, so actually tell us more about your workshops.
My workshops. So just before I came on to this program, I was interviewed by a lady who would like me to teach the leaders of companies, the owners or leaders, some mindfulness. And she said, do you think it would be possible for a person in a leading position to learn mindfulness? And I just said to her, do you think these people are human beings? And she said, of course. So I said, every human being can learn mindfulness, because every human being started as a very, very small human being and picked up little sticks or stones and thought they were miraculous, and lived moment by moment without worrying about the time. And it was just through, you know, forgetting mindfulness and learning to be accurate and punctual and getting good grades and all these things, which are important too, but we have a little bit veered away too far from our simple experience of life. So I said, of course, you know, never mind whether you want to send me the lovely people who keep our banks and businesses clean to the people who run the businesses. All human beings can learn and benefit from mindfulness.
Oh, of course. That is something that I think a lot of people from the audience are happy to learn more about as well. And so that is something that I am very glad that you are able to explain and help others learn and grow from. So,
and the mind, and you know, you ask the workshops. I mean, sometimes I go into a company and they give me 30 minutes, similar to what we've had here. So I try my best in 30 minutes. Sometimes they give me a day, sometimes they give me a weekend, sometimes they give me, you know, 8 2-3 hour slots over 8 weeks, which would be the length of time it takes to do a whole complete MBCT, MBSR course for stress reduction. Yeah? So it all depends on, you know, financial issues, time issues, but I always say any little bit of mindfulness can be beneficial. The more, the better, of course.
of course. So,
Yeah.
like the formal session you just gave me just now. So, would you say that would be something that would be best for people to practice every day?
Like anything, we do now know for the last 10 years we've done enormous progress when it comes to understanding how the brain, how the life brain works. Because before that, we mainly had dead brains and we didn't really, we could see how they're connected, but we couldn't really see, you know, how they respond to certain experiences. Now we have fMRI scanners and we can actually see what a stressed brain looks like and what a brain looks like that slowly goes into a calming meditative state. So in general, a brain that has more areas that light up blue is a more relaxed brain, and a brain that has more red areas is a more stressed brain. So we have fantastic, I mean, fMRI scans are not cheap, so we can't all have a scanner at home to check how we are. But there are other areas, you know, we can notice, for example, you know, how we respond to difficulties, how we respond when we want to sleep, how we respond to other people. That gives us little telltales how, you know, how stressed or not stressed we are. But we can actually measure it with machines, and we can show people that if you practice a lot, a minimum of 10 minutes a day, you will get better results than if you practice once a week or once a month. It's like learning a new language, a new instrument. Yeah. The more you practice, the more neural pathways, these are new neural connections in your brain, you can actually build. The more you practice, the more there will be.
Yes, so that sounds like really good advice. And so at what stage would you say you would be able to know if you actually have achieved full mindfulness that you could possibly practice? So more possibly even like on an expert level.
That's a difficult question to answer, because I do think that people, of course, you know, there are some people that are naturally more prone to being calm, and they might be quite mindful because they've never lost it. Maybe because they grew up in a little town which wasn't very stressful, or maybe they lived near the seaside or in the mountains, and so maybe they had just a predisposition to being more mindful. So I can't say exactly how long it would take, but you would know. If you know that when you're stressed, you can only sleep 3 or 4 hours, and then at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning you wake up, or when you know that the only way to calm down is to have a gin and tonic or a whiskey when you get home. You know, these are telltale signs that you are not at ease. Yeah. So when you can come home and say, I'm gonna, instead of my gin and tonic, I'm now going to sit down for 10 minutes in my little, so I always recommend people to have a little meditation place. It doesn't have to be a whole room, but a comfortable chair, maybe like I have a shawl, which I wear because it's my subconscious connects to that shawl. Okay, when I wear that shawl, I meditate. So it gets ready. You know, you can put a candle on, or you can have an incense stick there, or a shell, or some other symbol of peace and quiet or joy, maybe a photo of the seaside or of a mountain, and just create a little mindfulness corner and just give yourself those 10-15 minutes a day. And you will see with time, usually I would say after a month of regular practice, you will see a significant difference.
Okay, that is definitely something that I'm sure a lot of the audience would love to know more about and practice for themselves. So please tell us, what are you most proud of from 2017?
What am I most proud of 2017? I mean, I finished another book in 2017, which is called The Little Book of Meditation. So not the Little Book of Mindfulness, but the Little Book of Meditation. And this book is looking into more different schools of practicing meditation. So it includes, for example, chants and mantras where you use the voice, and it includes affirmations and visualizations, which are different from mindfulness. So I'm proud of that. Yes, and it was a difficult year because near the end of the year, my beloved mother passed away, and I was very proud that I was with her, that I at very short notice, because she was ill, but she then passed very quickly, and she lived in Vienna and I live in London, so it's, you know, about 7-hour travel away, but I managed to get a plane. The hospital let me stay with her, and I meditated with her for her last 2 days, day and night, and she passed quite peacefully. And I think if I hadn't had these skills, I would not have been able to hold myself, you know, in a calm presence, and I couldn't have assisted her because I could stroke her hands and her forehead, and I would tell her everything will be okay, everything will be easy, and you could really see that she then slowly let go. Because sometimes people live longer because they're so frightened of what comes next, or that it will be unbearably painful. It doesn't have to be. If, you know, really in the whole area of palliative care, of long-term illness, and of death and dying, mindfulness can also be a fantastic tool. And I was very glad I had this tool in 2017.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm so very sorry to hear about your loss, but it's
Thank
also
you.
very inspiring that you were actually able to use your own tools and help your mom to be able to slip away peacefully and to feel fully calm and in the best way possible.
Exactly. In the best way possible. I mean, of course, nobody ever knows exactly what happens, on the other side. But all I can tell you, when people are accompanied by other mindful, peaceful beings that are with them, it makes the passing so much easier. And as it is an experience that all of us will have sooner or later, it is important not to stop speaking about it and not to hide it. It's important to share that. Of course, we want to celebrate life and first of all use mindfulness to live more fully, to live with more joy and more joy de vivre, more, kind of playfulness as well. But it also helps us at the very end to peacefully pass on.
Of course. So please tell us, what are you most excited about for 2018?
2018, at the moment when I look at my diary, I just had, as I told you, even before you and I got together today, I had 2 phone calls about being invited for other, in one case for a training day, in other case for whole training weeks. And 2018 looks extremely full. Also with some voluntary work that I'm doing, but I'm very much looking forward to being able to share, what I've learned over these decades. And I do hope that some people will be touched and benefit from it. And of course, last but not least, the book that I finished writing at the end of 2017 will be published in the middle of 2018. They're now making lovely drawings to add to it. And so it will be another little baby that's going to be on the bookshelf, another book baby. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, yes, of course. All of that sounds so very exciting and so very full for you. So please tell us about your free gift.
The free gift. Well, I thought, as I've now mentioned the name of the book, The Little Book of Mindfulness, so many times, and now we are not quite there yet, but we're nearing the 1 million copies sold, because it's been translated into 12 languages and it is very affordable. But at the same time, still sometimes people probably think, well, The Little Book of Mindfulness, why should I buy that? So I thought I'm going to give 3 copies away. And if people, whoever the 3 first people are who write to me, they have to write and send me their address and their name, the way they want me to spell it, and then I will give them a personal little wish. So it won't just be a signed book, but a personalized signed book with a personal message.
Of course. So if you want to be able to enter in to receive a free copy of that signed book by Dr. Patrizia Collard, The Little Book of Mindfulness, be sure to opt in. Be sure to put in your information in the link below, and we will be sure to enter in there will be a random drawing of the first 3 people which will receive a copy of that free book.
That's right. And I hope you will enjoy it.